Hi, sir, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. 6 p.m. in Douala, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Our magistrates right away, another journalist brutally killed and her body mutilated, packed up in a box by yet to be identified person Sylvia Bell, the communications officer of Comifac, went missing on Sunday, and her mortal remains were only found late Monday. Why are journalists and also women being persecuted and brutally killed in Cameroon? An attempt that answer in this edition of the news. Plus, Muslims are anxiously waiting to see the moon to announce the feast of the Ramadan. Our reporters met with some Muslims in Douala who are doing last-minute preparations. Viewers, those are our magistrates. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for your confidence. We begin this edition of the news on a very sad note. Shock and consternation in the nation's peaceful capital, Yaoundé, as the mortal remains of a journalist and also the communications officer of Comifac, Sylvie Nyebel, were mutilated and packed in a box when they were found. That was a few days after Sylvie Nyebel went missing in Yaoundé. For me, Armstrong Sander, in the report which comes up next, attempts an answer as to why journalists are being persecuted and also brutally murdered.
The abduction and brutal assassination of Louisette Ngo-Yebels in Yaoundé is an attack on democracy and democratic principles, according to Maximilien Gombe, human rights defender and the president of the network of human rights defenders in Central Africa.
Là où il n'y a plus les journalistes pour donner l'information, il n'y a plus d'État, il n'y a plus de démocratie, et c'est le chaos.
Drawing the attention of the international community to Cameroon, the executive director of REDAC links journalist Louisette's assassination to a chain from journalist Martinez Zogo, Ola Bebe, and other attacks on rights defenders in Cameroon.
Et une autre affaire vient d'entrer dans une affaire. Et moi, je prends un témoin, la communauté internationale, je prends un témoin.
Louisette wasn't only a trained journalist, but a defender of the rights of the environment. Maximilien Gombe says the attackers have moved from journalists to right defenders.
Mixant et en couplant les défenseurs, en plus les femmes défenseurs. C'est probablement pour nous dire.
An unacceptable assassination to journalist Aristide Kambi. This assassination is one too many at a time when darkness still looms over the Martinez Zogo affair.
Beaucoup de tristesse m'anime parce que effectivement on a une affaire sous la main.
While challenging public stakeholders to take up their role as the guarants of the welfare of citizens, Aristide said journalists are not backing down despite the attacks.
C'est la précarité qui anime notre secteur d'activité n'est pas pour encourager les journalistes du Cameroun, mais la passion.
Louisette Ngo-Yebels was abducted in Yaoundé on Saturday, the 6th of April 2024 by unknown individuals who took her to an undisclosed destination. She would later be assassinated, chopped into pieces and dropped at the Sam neighborhood where she was discovered on Sunday, April the 7th, 2024.
Sad indeed. We will be talking more on that in the second part of the news. Now we take you to the southwest region, where about 50 families are now homeless after their semi-permanent buildings were ravaged by wildfire in Shell Creek, a Fiat quarter in Idabato in the 10th division of the southwest region. Some sources allege that the fire was ignited by separatist fighters, while others say it emanated from a traditional kitchen in Idabato. Lucy Liengu is here now, tells us more.
Serious. Yes, look at houses burning.
More than 50 families are now homeless in Shell Creek, located in a Fiat quarter, Idabato subdivision of the southwest region. Being a fishing area, the population mobilized, carrying water, but efforts were in vain. The white flames lasted for 2 hours.
Houses burning. They are pouring water. They are pouring water. Fire can reduce, but it is still worst. Going to this section, this is where the heaviest part of the fire is going.
The semi-permanent buildings constructed with bamboo were all reduced to arches, leaving the victims in an open air.
The flame is continuing.
You don't see this guy fire. You don't leave this boat. You don't see this fire.
However, some local sources say the fire was ignited by suspected separatists, while others say it emanated from a traditional kitchen. The over 50 victims are now seeking refuge in a primary school in Efiat Quarter. The mayor of Idabato, Etongo Ifanje, was on the field to evaluate the damage.
And now we talk something else. Two mobile telephone companies, MTN and Orange, have been given 60 days to identify hundreds of unidentified numbers which pay ransoms to terrorists and separatists in the far north, the southwest, and the northwest regions of the country. The Ministry of Territorial Administration says ransom amounting to close to 400 million francs CFA has been paid within the past 3 months. Babila Jonathan completes the story for us.
The unlawful use of mobile telephone networks by terrorists in the crisis-hit Far North region and separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon is fast becoming a major threat to national security.
Following the reports we had from the governors of the northwest, southwest, and Far North regions, it has been established clearly that most terrorist groups are using the platforms of Orange, MTN, to do criminal operations. Most of the SIM cards are not identified. We have identified more than 450 SIM cards circulating amongst the terrorists in these regions. In certain groups, there are 45 telephones, unidentified telephone numbers.
Atrocities are committed via unidentified telephone numbers. Kidnappers use mobile phones to force relatives and friends of their victims and other persons to pay hundreds of millions of francs yearly.
For the reports that we have had, more than 300 million CFA francs have been collected from peaceful Cameroonians because of kidnapping and ransom.
Two major mobile telephone companies in Cameroon have been given an ultimatum and a warning should they fail to obey.
In a period of 60 days, MTN management and Orange management, you have to clearly identify all your collaborators in those regions and update us with all the telephone numbers. So within this period of 60 days, I can tell you clearly that you have to put your things properly. Otherwise, you will face serious sanctions. We cannot jeopardize the security of the state.
Minister Tanganji Paul says this obstruction to the work of security and defense forces in the fight against insecurity must be adequately dealt with.
And in religion, Catholic Christians in Otele in the Central region have undergone a 2-day pilgrimage which permitted the Christians to meditate on their spiritual lives. This was during the celebration of the Feast of Divine Mercy that was on Sunday, and that Mass was presided over by the Archbishop of the Yaoundé Archdiocese, His Grace Jean Barga. Mala Glory has the details.
Peace was the main message of the day as Catholic Christians in Otele celebrated the Divine Mercy Sunday, the first Sunday after Easter. In prelude to this day, the people went through a 2-day pilgrimage which permitted the Christians to meditate on their lives. During the Mass, His Grace Jean Barga, Archbishop of the Yaoundé Archdiocese, called on Christians to respect the sacrament of penitence.
Rappelons-nous cette parole fondamentale qui dit « Si vous ne vous convertissez pas, vous périrez tous ».
Remember the passage that says, if you don't confess, you will all perish. Jesus is not interested in the death of a sinner, but his confession. And to all sinners he met on his way, he told them, your sins have been forgiven. Divine mercy is first a personal need for those who know Christ and who are conscious of their sins and ready to be free from them.
Et qui ont conscience de leur condition de pécheurs et qui sont animés par la volonté de se sanctifier.
The church leaders also spoke on the importance of the construction of schools in Otele.
Pour qu'ils aient une formation humaine et spirituelle solide.
So that they can have a strong human and spiritual education while being competitive in science subjects. As any time from now, a technical school will be opened by the church, and I pray great men shall come out from this school.
Prospère et prospère encore.
Schools are limited in the area, and the construction of this establishment will go a long way to facilitate their access to education.
Still in religion, this time around we talk Islam. After 29 or 30 days of fasting, the Muslim community across Cameroon will in some hours celebrate the feast of the Ramadan, so they are still waiting for the apparition of the moon. Our reporter Cedric Chakuto met with some Muslim faithful here in the economic capital Douala during their last-minute preparations ahead of the feast of the Ramadan.
Muslim faithful in Cameroon have intensified preparation ahead of the feast of the Ramadan expected in some hours.
Comme chaque année, nous sommes en train de nous organiser afin de pouvoir recevoir nos proches, à savoir des musulmans et aussi des non-musulmans, pour partager, n'est-ce pas, le repas de cette fête. Et c'est l'occasion pour moi aussi de souhaiter une bonne fête à tous les musulmans du Cameroun.
For this, there are some restrictions to observe during the feast of Ramadan.
Le désordre est interdit. D'abord,
disorder is not accepted. You should respect the period of fasting you just crossed. It was a period where we came out purified.
Ça n'a pas de sens. Donc c'est une forme d'éducation. Vous rappelez de ne plus faire ceci.
During the feast of Ramadan, we normally should not drink a lot or do abnormal things. We are to remain clean and pure.
Modestement, de partager ce que vous avez avec les autres, de chercher à être un homme vrai.
To some other Muslims like this tailor, it will be difficult to prepare the event.
À quelques heures de la fête, tout est enfin prêt, mais
everything is ready, but there are commands that I have to give out.
Les rendez-vous ne sont pas honorés, plus particulièrement à cause de coupure de courant, qui est vraiment.
But it is difficult due to no electricity.
Vraiment les rendez-vous que les tailleurs donnent à leurs clients. Et ça impacte vraiment beaucoup sur l'organisation même de la fête.
The annual observance of the Feast of Ramadan is regarded as one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It lasts 29 to 30 days.
Happy Feast of the Ramadan in advance to all our Muslim televiewers out there. And now we talk sports. After being officially installed as a new technical staff of the Indomitable Lions, Mark Brace and his team will have to start strategizing as they prepare the Indomitable Lions for their upcoming matches. What are the tasks awaiting the newly installed technical staff of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon? Smart can give you attempts and answer in the report that comes up next.
After penning his contract as the head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon on Monday, March 8, 2024, Mark Breeze and his entire team will have to immediately get into work as there exists no time for relaxation. 2 assignments were given to Mark Breeze and team by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education during the contract signing ceremony on Monday. The first baptism of fire for Coach Mark Breeze and team will be the qualifiers of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Before the sacking of Rigobert Song as head coach of the Indomitable Lions, he placed Cameroon on top of Group D with 4 points in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. On June 3rd, Cameroon will challenge the Blue Sharks of Cape Verde that has always been a thorn on the flesh of the Indomitable Lions, a team that had great performance during the last AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. 8 days after, Cameroon will take on Angola in Luanda. The Paranclas Negras were also a surprise package at the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. Another task for the new technical team is the qualifiers of the Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco 2025. The Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Chief Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, was clear on the 2 soccer events, which he challenged Mark Breeze to get qualification tickets to the AFCON in Morocco next year and a year after in 2026 for the FIFA World Cup to be hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico. The qualification to these 2 great events won't be enough, but getting a great performance will bring joy to the people of Cameroon, as the Minister of Sports and Physical Education echoed.
Those are some of the tasks ahead of Mark Brice and his team. Meanwhile, the Minister of Sports and Physical Education challenged the new technical staff of the senior men's national football team to bring back the fighting spirit that has always been part of the indomitable lions of Cameroon. Let's now come back to where the recommendations were made with Samanji Kangibrel.
Belgian tactician Mark Brice has now become the 34th trainer of the senior men's national football team, the Indomitable Lions, after he penned his contract at the conference room of the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education this Monday. During the ceremony, the new technical staff of the Indomitable Lions was told by the Minister of Sports to bring back the missing aspects within the Indomitable Lions. The Lions then must be engulfed by a conquering spirit, combative, courageous, and one that will put fear on the faces of their opponents. You need to re-establish the legendary fighting spirit that has always been the key aspect within the Indomitable Lions. It was an occasion for the Minister of Sports and Physical Education to remind the technical staff that the appointment was not done by the love Cameroon government has for them, but because their curriculum vitae was rich. You have the capacity, your experience and qualification, competence and distinctions. You weren't selected or designated within the technical staff for nothing. Notwithstanding the absence of the Cameroon Football Federation's president, Samuel Eto'o, who is said to be preparing for his late father's funeral, the state sent this message to Fecafoot. Fecafoot have to give you its total support, which is part of their collaboration to enable a smooth working terrain. During the contract signing ceremony, just one member of the newly installed technical staff, Giannis Ziloris, was absent, with every other member of the technical staff present.
Thank you, Smart. Those recommendations by the Sports Minister to Mark Brice and his team brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Thank you for being with us. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is a lady. She is Akwe Nadia. She is a political analyst and also a civil society actor. Nadia, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Today we are talking about femicide again. This time around, it's a journalist who was killed brutally. Her mother remains mutilated and packed in a box in Yaoundé by some criminals who are still on the run. Now, Nadia, what's your reaction to this yet another femicide or a journalist brutally murdered in Cameroon?
The 21st century woman is no longer considered only good for the kitchen. She has so much evolved in her capacities. And that is why I tell people, instead of using the word gender equality, why not adopt capacity equality to better decongest the fight we have between the men and the women? We're supposed to be talking about capacities and not gender. In our Bantu culture or in our African context, a man will always be a man and a woman will remain a woman. But today, women have showcased their capacities. A woman can be a president. A woman can be a lawyer. A woman can be a doctor. A woman can be a pilot. Most women today are the breadwinners of their homes today. Women have showcased a lot of capacities. And we shouldn't forget that a woman naturally is a multi-dynamic being.
Now, Nadia, to better canalize what we are trying to talk about, we're talking about femicide. We know that last year, over 20 women were killed in this country, either battered to death by a partner or kidnapped and killed by hired murderers, like what just happened in Yaoundé to the journalist Sylvie Yebel. Can there be a reason women are so vulnerable and exposed carelessly to criminals in Cameroon?
Madam, talking on the point of femicide, it is the targeted killing of the female gender in their mass. You know, we are all called to die someday. We are all called to exit this world someday. Nobody is an eternal being. We are all called to exit this world someday. But what matters is the manner in which we live. Recently, we've been having an uprising targeted killing of the female gender across the triangle. We have some caused by, marital violence, passionate crimes, and it is a call for alarm. And we have so many reasons that contribute to these increasing rates of femicide across the triangle. Firstly, I will talk of women who are scared of being financially independent. And secondly, we talk of religion. Thirdly, we talk of the society. And fourthly, we talk of women who don't support each other. We have a lot of women out there, they don't support each other. Your peer is suffering in a home, and you know, and you have the capacity to help her. I talk of those people, those women that are up there, like the Minister of Social Affairs, the Minister of Women's Affairs. They are doing nothing. Our female parliamentarians who are in our assembly, they are doing nothing about these things. They are not supporting their peers. They are not decrying for their peers. They are the voice of the voiceless up there. At the end of the day, you find these women vulnerable. They find themselves alone. If you are in front of an abusive husband who has all the financial capacity and all the contacts, how can she help herself? She cannot help herself. She needs those parliamentarians. She needs that minister to help her. But they are not doing anything.
Now, Nadia, maybe laws should be reinforced for the culprit to be severely punished. Maybe we have to come back to the capital punishment, which is a death penalty, so that people know the consequences of murdering another human being brutally, like what happened in Yaoundé. What's your take on that? Coming back to capital punishment.
The law of the penalty of death should be reinstalled amongst the laws in Cameroon. You see, laws are put in place to safeguard the discipline of a society and its citizens. Saudi Arabia still practices the law of Moses, okay? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And this makes the society a little bit holy, okay? It scares a lot of people from committing some certain atrocities. But in Cameroon, someone would tell you, if I commit this crime, I'm going to go to jail, I will save my jail sentence and I'm out. Nothing has, some even pay, okay? You're going to kill somebody, you're going to take the life of a woman, take the life of a man, you're going to embezzle state funds, and you go, you save your jail sentence, and you come out, nothing happens. If the laws of Cameroon do not safeguard the discipline of its society and its citizens, that law is weak. So I think that the law of the death penalty should be reinstalled, not only because of the uprising rate of femicides across the triangle, but because of the so many ills we are having. State embezzlers, they are killers. Once you embezzle billions, you're killing a society. And you go to jail, you sit your jail sentence, and you're out. But if the death sentence penalty is out, it will scare a lot of these embezzlers. It will scare a lot of these people who are killing people's children. People who are killing women. People who have killed this journalist who recently died. A journalist died on Monday. She was found dead. A female journalist. And her body parts mutilated. If we get the culprits, they'll send them to jail. They're going to save their jail sentence and they're going to leave. But if these people are being caught and they are killed, it's going to scare others from committing the same atrocity. So I think that the law of the death penalty should be reinstalled, because if the laws of our society or of our country, Cameroon, cannot safeguard the discipline of its society and its citizens, those laws are weak.
Now, Nadia, before we go, I want to know, why are women so silent or indifferent in the face of such atrocities, from the top to the bottom, that is, the female ministers, the MPs, to the common women? We seem indifferent while waiting for the next victim. We know recently also a child was raped and killed in Bangante less than a month ago. Her corpse was found in a private residence, and up to now, it's still total silence. women need maybe to let the world know that it's too much, enough is enough. Now, what should women do practically to denounce or say no to the haphazard killing of women in Cameroon?
I'm going to tell women out there to be brave enough, to stand firm and denounce these ills, to be their sister's keeper, okay? The uprising rate of the targeted killing against our gender is alarming, and we need unity to be able to fight this ill. They say, united we stand and divided we fall. I call upon those female parliamentarians, I call upon those ministers who are female to support their peers. I call upon the Minister of Social Affairs and the Minister of Women's Affairs. Support your peers. Make sure that when you hear anything that is violating women, be it rape, be it killings, be it marital violence, madam, come out and talk it out and follow up. Not only talk it out, but follow up and support the victims. Help these victims, because a lot of people will keep hiding. A lot of women will keep dying in these homes because of the way the other victims were being treated and abandoned on the road.
Thank you, Nadia, for your time. And viewers, thank you so much for being with us on Equinoxe Television. Our programs continue in about 30 minutes. Equinoxe Soir, that will be at 7 p.m. And the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.